Right, try again, guys. How's sound? How's sound? Let us know, guys, and then get started. Someone can give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Anyone? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Thank you, Ryan Hemmings. Right, okay. Let's play ball. Let's talk football then. All right, start again. Oosh. Hello, everybody. Welcome to my regular YouTube stream, Ask James. My name is James. I'm one half of the Planet FPL podcast. That's for the benefit of those listening to this on the audio, for those on YouTube. Thanks very much for joining me again. The reason for the issues this morning is I've got a new mic. I've been trying something out. It obviously didn't work, so I need to go back and retest that again this afternoon because it should have been better in terms of sound quality, but I'll work on something to make it better. Don't worry. So as this normally works, very simple. I'm live on YouTube. I get into the chat. Anything football related, I'll get it covered. Let's see who's in the chat. Red Rose FPL saying afternoon. Phil is asking, has Suj stopped celebrating yet? I think Suj is very happy. He's taking a day completely off of work today. It's his one of his boys' 8th birthday. And yeah, I imagine he is absolutely ecstatic with West Ham's 3-2 win over Chelsea last night. I shouted goal when it went in as well. I was doing my Champman FPL stream at the time and was watching the game at the same time. I was giving a running commentary as it was happening. As I knew Yarmolenko was going to step inside Rudiger. And from a Spurs point of view, it gives us a very, very faint hope should we win the game today. I'm staying in a potential race for the top 4. I realise Spurs' chances of achieving such a finish are extremely low. But give me something to look forward to over the next 3 weeks. Spurs do not let me down today. I imagine, yes, Suj is ecstatic. They'd had a more difficult run than the other teams around them during this period as well. They've come out of it with more points than anyone else bar Brighton. So they'll be really, really pleased. Now they come into what looks a kinder looking fixture list. The interesting dynamic on it is that some of these sides that have got to play them still, be it so Watford, Villa, are probably really thinking now, whereas say West Ham and Watford in a few weeks, you might have been thinking both teams might settle for a draw here. As it would stand right now, and it is a few weeks away, Watford would probably suddenly be thinking we need the win, whereas West Ham consciously might be thinking draw's okay here, let's keep them at bay. I think West Ham, unlike the other clubs down there at the bottom, one of the reasons I've been very confident they'll stay up is they do have players who can score goals. Antonio, Bowen, boys in behind, Yarmolenko's come on and scored, Anderson on a good day, Lanzini, Fornals. These guys are capable of attacking returns, actually, and that's why I've always been very confident that they'd stay up. Roy Justad saying hello. Hello, Roy. Angus McPhail, do you see any reason for encouragement for Norwich or Bournemouth? Even though Bournemouth are only 1 point from safety, they look worryingly bad on the resumption. Is Eddie Howe's demeanour is extremely concerning me. I said this after they lost at Wolves, and it was no better listening to his interview after the Newcastle game yesterday. He's really, really struggling. He looks like a man. I'm beginning to think that he's gonna finish at the end of the season, whether they stay up or not. The flip of them against West Ham is they're bad defensively, really bad defensively. And in an odd way, they always have been, but they've always had enough attacking talent to be scoring the goals to help stay them up. I think this year they moved too far to try and correct the issues defensively, and they've lost sight a little bit of the things that they're really good at in terms of their style, the attacking football, etc. They need to get themselves in a position where they go for it. The problem now is they're walking into tough fixtures, man. I think next 3 is United, Tottenham and Leicester, I think the next 3. And then following that, Man City. So it gets easier. They finish with Southampton, Everton. They would have been hoping to take advantage of those 2 home games, if you can call them that these days, with Crystal Palace and Newcastle. And it just looks really, really bleak for them now, I'm afraid. Norwich, remarkably, ain't done. They look the worst team at the moment by a distance. But it just takes one win against Brighton Saturday lunchtime and suddenly they can see it. They can see getting out of it depending on other results at the weekend. And then they're back in the mix. Any of them teams at the bottom, puts back-to-back wins at the moment, or in Norwich's case, probably needs to be 7 points in 3 games, they're going to get out of it at the moment. So, as shit as they've been, Norwich, next 3, Brighton, Watford, West Ham. Is it impossible they could win those 3 games? And if so, they're back in the race. They've got to do it now. They can't. There's no more chances, I'm afraid. They would have wanted something from them Southampton, Everton fixtures. They have to win at least 2 of the next 3 games. Their last 3 are Chelsea, Burnley and Man City as well. Realistically, they've got to win all 3. It's not impossible for them. The problem with Norwich is a little Jekyll and Hyde. I think most of us who watched the FA Cup game against Manchester United would have gone, these were all right, you know. And how many times have we sat there this season and gone, do you know what? They're all right. I don't agree with the comment Danny Murphy seemed to drop every other week on Match of Day that they'll be the best side that's ever finished bottom. I disagree with that because they're way too bad defensively, as proven by some of the car crash incidents at Arsenal yesterday. But they're not dead and buried yet. None of them are. Just needs any one of them to put a couple of results together. The problem is at the moment, you can't see any of them doing it, as well as saying Norwich have got those 3. Obviously, Watford walk into a difficult Chelsea game this weekend. But if they defend properly, you never know on the counter-attack with the likes of Ismaila Sarr. And I would hope that Danny Welbeck could perhaps give Watford an hour or so as well. They'll be stronger on the counter-attack for that. Then following that, they've got similar fixtures to Norwich's 3 now. Norwich, Newcastle and West Ham. And that's their 3 where they're going to be thinking, we've got to get the results there. So, yeah, pivotal one. That Norwich-Watford game next Tuesday is big, really big. Just a quick shout out to a few guys who give me a thumbs up on the sound. Ryan Hemmings, John Bailey, Mikey Moles, Zane FX. Thank you very much for that. Red Rose FPL says Vardy to Greenwood and Richarlison to Salah would mean needing to play 2 of Foden, Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Greenwood. What do you think? I think there's nothing wrong with it, mate. As it stands now, I've got 2 free transfers because I rolled this week. I'm on 57 or 58 points, I think, with De Bruyne, Trent and Sonny to go tonight. So I'm going to have a green arrow again this week, which is, unless Salah goes mental and there's a load of dead captainers, for example, or the same with De Bruyne. So I'm likely to be inside the top 300k after this week, which isn't great, but considering where I was at restart, I'm very, very happy with that. My plan right now is Marcus Alonso to Andrew Robertson and Dominic Calvert-Lewin to Mason Greenwood. And then I'd be in a position this week where I'm probably leaving Adama Traore and Danny Ings on the bench. Those who've been following what I've been doing with my team will know this has been part of my strategy to have strong bench, make week-to-week decisions in terms of the starting 11 that I'm looking at. Now, leaving Traore out against Arsenal seems absolutely mad. But actually, I think Arsenal would possibly benefit from something that's not being talked about very much, which is this shifting system towards a back 3. I'm actually a little bit fearful about the North London derby on Sunday week now with them playing that system, actually. I'm a little worried about that. So Arsenal have put themselves in a position where they can threaten to challenge for Europe again. I think with Arsenal, because of the fixtures, they wouldn't be in a position, in spite of being above Tottenham at time of recording. Tottenham obviously have the game in hand today, which would put them 2 points back above Arsenal. Because of the fixtures Arsenal have got left, I wouldn't see them being able to finish in the top 5 as it stands now. I mean, Arsenal's next 4 is Wolves, Leicester, Tottenham, Liverpool. But if they win the first 3, and then Liverpool could be in beach mode, I don't think they will be personally, then suddenly, actually, they'd be back in with a shot. It's all about momentum for so many teams at the moment. We've obviously seen United, Wolves, what they're doing. They've really put the pressure on Leicester and Chelsea, where that's become a 4-horse race. But then if United suddenly have a bad result, Leicester and Wolves suddenly have a bad result, and Tottenham continue to win as well, then suddenly it's 5 teams. Now, that's very, very unlikely. I get that. Just let me have my moment of small hope. By the way, personally, I would be very happy for Spurs to qualify for Europa League rather than not. I would want to be in the competition personally. I think it's essential that Tottenham stay in European football in some way at the moment. In terms of the transfers with Rose, I'm all right with that. The problem with Vardy, and we highlighted this before the restart and again after Leicester's fixture with Watford, is that pass that Vardy loves over the top. Teams are playing so much deeper. I've watched all 3 of Leicester's games, and I'm not sure if Vardy's played or not. I don't think it's particularly a bad slight on him. I just think he's really struggling with what he loves to do is when Leicester are out of possession, he really loves to position himself in a position to then spring off the counter attack, so he can immediately get them behind. Go and look at the goal he scored at Etihad in December, and actually that whole first half was a really good example of what Vardy is so good at. At the moment, against the teams he's been playing against, he can't do that. Teams are just playing so deep and so much narrower. You're just not able to at the moment. Now, there's a couple of fixtures coming up. Bournemouth, Sheffield United, oddly enough, because of the space in between the overlapping centre halves, where he'll love to pick up those pockets in between central centre half and wing back when the overlapping centre half steps out. Watch out for that, by the way. If you go back and look at Vardy's goal at Bramall Lane earlier in the season, that's exactly what happened. Basham stepped out of space, and Vardy went and vacated that in case Leicester won the ball back, and then he was away. At the moment, he's not really able to do that. That's the problem. So I think the sell of Vardy is absolutely fine. I mean, Palace at home this week doesn't really look like the sort of fixture you should be selling him, but it seems reasonable to me as well. There are teams not going to allow space in behind either. I'd be absolutely fine with that move. In terms of my own as well, I could go -4 and go Son up to Salah or Mane for a -4 on top of it. Or I could go Traore to Riyad Mahrez. And if Mahrez doesn't play tonight, I might take that move, actually. And then that's an even more fucked up decision in terms of who I play or don't play. It's disastrous. But yeah, I might well be heading that way. I need to give it some thought. I'm not overly committed because I know things in the Spurs game and the City Liverpool game tonight could influence my decision making. I don't think anybody should be making early transfers at the moment. John Bailey said, how's your game week going? James kind of just covered that. John, really pleased with the way it's going, particularly as I had captain fail in Jimenez. Ironically, the original choice would have been to captain Bruno Fernandes, and then I got a little bit of fear over the FA Cup games. I just decided it was a safer play. Okay, yeah, look, I'd be on an extra 13 points or so now if I'd gone that way. But I remember a very good game week, really, considering I'm on nearly 60 with 3 to go, and I've had a captain blank. I really can't complain at that. And this will be 3 good weeks since we come back as well. And the squad I've got for the weekend, I can only see it being a good week again, to be honest. So really pleased with the way it's going at the moment. Edwin Guan. Hello, James. I love you guys. We love you too, Edwin. Andy Cairn saying afternoon. Mikey Moles. Got Greenwood, Rashford, Bruno and Salah next game week. Who do I captain, mate? I think if you've got Salah, go Salah. Personally. Against Villa. See what you see tonight. I wouldn't be surprised if Salah only doesn't play the whole game tonight, by the way. I think he might. It's the sort of one where if he's tiring, Klopp's not afraid to take him off in a game like that, oddly enough. So out of those, I think, look, if you've got Salah, home to Villa, there's a lot are going to go for Bruno. It's the fad thing. I'd have been more keen on going for Fernandes if he hadn't returned at Brighton, actually. As it stands, I'm very much considering going for Trent. Can't see Villa scoring at Liverpool. The injury to Joel Matip doesn't make a big difference. I think Van Dijk seems more comfortable when Joe Gomez plays anyway. So can't see Villa scoring. And then against Villa as well, I mean, Trent's well capable of double pointer. I've got to the point now where I don't have Salah or Mane, where I need to start believing in Trent as a captain option because his returns are phenomenal. So I would, in an odd way, if I break it down and go, what's more likely? And if I went down to bookies and went, sorry, gents, what's more likely this weekend? Liverpool clean sheet against Villa or Bruno Fernandes scoring against Bournemouth? I'm pretty sure they're going to tell me it's the Liverpool clean sheet is more likely. Then add on top of that Trent can return. And that's leaning me towards a Trent captaincy this weekend. And if I do, and it goes well, I'm pretty sure it won't be the last time I captain Trent for the rest of this season. Ryan Hemmings says, afternoon, James. Hope you're well. I am. Thank you, Ryan. I've been looking at the run-ins captaincy options. Would you bring in Mo for a hit, even if you weren't going to cap him? Captain Martial feels like FOMO. My feeling of going without Salah Mane was in terms of the better spread I can get throughout my squad, as proven by what I've got, essentially. I mean, like I said, at the moment, I'm going to be leaving, as it would stand, probably Ings and Traore on the bench this weekend. And this was part of my philosophy to be able to make those week-to-week decisions, bearing in mind wildcarding early off the back of only one game week of knowledge and not really knowing if the patterns will shift. I think, for example, one of the things I said on my stream last night, once West Ham won the game, was that, or actually straight after they'd scored, was it could be a really, really good thing for the league to have a game like that, for a less established club to beat a side they wouldn't be expected to, and in that manner, a high-scoring encounter might change a few teams' philosophy, particularly in the bottom half, towards how they're going to approach the rest of these games. Goals were really up yesterday. Now, the fixtures yesterday probably suggested that that was going to be the case. So at the moment, it's just an isolated day of data where we had a higher number of goals. What did we have? 17 goals in 4 games. That's much, much better, right? Premier League average will generally get about 2.6, 2.7 a game. Yesterday's fixtures are averaging more than 4 a game. It could be isolated. Sheffield United, Tottenham today could well be 0-0 and drag your thoughts back down to earth. But in terms of getting Salah in and not captaining him, I don't know. Where's the logic in that? You really think Martial will outscore Salah? If you do, it's fine. But I wouldn't feel that way. The fear for me on my strategy going without Salah Mane is these next 3 fixtures, Villa, Brighton and Burnley, are a little bit scary. But I don't think I'm going to do it. And I'm going to go without, like I said, I'm kind of back Trent. Probably not to outscore them, but let's say give me a return to match it. I think he's capable of doing it. I think, Ryan, if you get him in, if you're asking me who's the very best captaincy option this week, I would probably say Salah. Now, that's obviously saying this prior to the game this evening. I wouldn't have any fear of the rotation, genuinely. And although I'm a big advocate of Mane over Salah, as you'll know, these next 2 fixtures, Villa and Brighton, Salah. Smells of Salah massively. I think particularly that Villa fixture on Sunday. So I would say Mohamed Salah is the best captaincy option this weekend at the moment. And because you haven't seen him score for about 4 or 5 months, he's off agenda, right? Nigel Walters, thoughts on Son on a free hit. So that's going to be for the Everton fixture, obviously. It's okay. I don't hate it. We're saying Harry Kane has scored 6 in his last 3 appearances against Everton. Shouldn't influence your thinking with under very different circumstances, but it's worth saying. Sonny has a decent record against Everton as well. The interesting side story of obviously Son against Everton at the week was it was his collision with Andre Gomez that caused the horrific injury for Gomez and the red card, which was later rescinded for Son back in November. So I don't know if there might be a bit of emotional context to the particular game for Son. I don't think he's a player that responds best in those circumstances. So I would be of the thinking, Nigel, that it's probably better options. I think if I was on a free hit, I would probably avoid the Tottenham-Everton fixture. Ryan saying he must be buzzing. That's probably in reference to Surgeon last evening. Juric, sorry if I've butchered your name there, pal. Hi, James. Do you think, is it too risky going ahead without Salah after the City game? Can he hurt managers who don't own him versus Villa, etc.? Kind of exactly what I've just covered. Of course he can. Dominic Jervis says, hi, James. Pulisic or Martial for the next 4 games? I have Rashford and Fernandes. Chelsea's massively tempting on those fixtures to have some sort of coverage, and I agree that Pulisic is the best option. However, do you know what? I'll tell it to you straight, Dominic. I'm not that big on getting either. Genuinely, I know Martial's had the hat-trick against Sheffield United. Pulisic with obviously the 2 assists last night, which is worth saying, it's courtesy of him being fouled. It doesn't mean you can't get assists from those situations. I'm not particularly big on either. I think Pulisic offers great value. Martial obviously is OOP. This is not to belittle anyone or say don't go and get either. It's just personal preference of my thinking at the moment. That, you know, for example, I could go Traore to either of these 2 for that extra -4 as well. I'm going to have 2.8 million sitting in the bank. Martial I wouldn't, because I'd have 3 United players. Pulisic I certainly could. Do you know what? It's a really tough one, that, Dominic. I'd be very tempted, because you've already got Rashford and Fernandes, to pick Pulisic out of the two and take it as a differential gamble. Got good fixtures coming up: Chelsea, Watford, Palace, Sheffield United, Norwich in the next 4. The first 3, I think, are more difficult on paper than they look, in terms of they're likely to sit in quite defensive. I'd go Pulisic. Go for the gamble at this stage, Dominic. Donna Boyle, maybe I won't get to see Suj at the Den now. Shame. Are you a Millwall fan, Donna? Oh, dear. No, West Ham are going to stay up, Donna. You never know. Can you still come up? You're not that far off the playoffs, are you? Notorious Nerd, any West Ham picks worth a look? Yeah, Antonio and Bowen, absolutely worth a look for West Ham, and I mean that genuinely. I've been saying very much from an FPL perspective, people will look again come game week 33. It's certainly not something I would take with what I'm doing from -4. And obviously Newcastle have really impressed over the period since we've returned. Scored in every game. Was it 8 goals scored, admittedly against 3 of, okay, let's say 2 of the poorer teams in the league, plus the Sheffield United team that was massively handicapped on the day because of the red card to John Egan. So I wouldn't be forcing in West Ham this week. But yeah, absolutely you can look. The problem is then you look at the next one. Actually, then Burnley becomes more difficult on paper than you might anticipate. Then it's Norwich, Watford, Man United, Aston Villa. That's West Ham's games left. I think they can do some damage. Okay, West Ham related damage. They'll stay up. I'm absolutely certain they'll stay up. And I've always been very confident that they'd stay up. But yeah, those two. And Fabianski, as I said previously, offers a very good rotation with Martinez. But I think, as you've seen last night, they're not strong enough defensively. He's not going to be many clean sheets. But Fabianski's always a good FPL option, even almost irrespective of fixtures. Dominic Jervis is also predicting Bournemouth, Villa, Norwich to go down. Eddie will go. I think if you asked anybody right now, that would be almost everybody's prediction of the 3 that will go down, bar perhaps supporters of those respective clubs. Notorious Nerd. Can St. Maximin continue his hauls? He's got West Ham next. There's no reason why not, the flip of what I've just said about West Ham. But yeah, absolutely you could. I think there's not it's not a great entry for St. Maximin, to be honest. I think those who've gone on, really well done. I saw definitely somebody captained him yesterday in the FPL Twitter community. I forget who it was, but somebody definitely captained him. They had some sort of foresight or teleportation, something that got them on the other side of the game, seen St. Maximin rocking up with 3 assists. He's a very threatening player, isn't he? Really good. Drops your shoulder really quick. And you know what I like about him? He's really brave. Doesn't think twice about it. Just goes and takes people on. It's West Ham next, then it's Man City. It's Watford, then it's Tottenham, then it's Brighton, then it's Liverpool. It's not for me at the moment. It's not to put anybody, if anybody's got, brilliant, by the way. It just wouldn't be top of priorities to buy for me. Can it continue? Yes. Will it? Probably not, would be my answer on that. Mac says Son or Kane, Mane or Mahrez. Is that 2 questions? Son or Kane? Son in FPL, in my opinion, because of the price difference, the little bit extra points availability from a midfielder. Plus, my argument against Kane for FPL, the Sky players will know I'm going into Harry Kane today on Sky, as long as I see that he's playing, and let's be honest, he will be playing. The difference with that is I'll captain Kane nearly every game day in Sky, whereas in FPL, I can't see where I'd ever captain him. That's a big chunk of money for a player that, even though they've got good fixtures, Spurs, you think you're probably not going to captain him unless you see something form-wise that really changes your mind. I mean, how are you possibly going to captain Kane over Kevin De Bruyne in what's left with the effective ownership argument and Manchester City's fixtures, Liverpool's next 3 fixtures? You're not. So it's Son is the better choice for me. Mane or Mahrez? I mean, if it's money, no object, then Mane. And he'll give you some captaincy options, certainly in the next 3 at least. So Mane and Son would be the choices there, Mac. Dominic Jones, James, correct. Billing and Lerma offer nothing going forward. Bournemouth gone. I just think they've gone too far that way. Too far, mate. Lerma's a prick of a footballer, genuinely. I think there's always been something very likable about Bournemouth. And do you know what? I always say teams need the sort of player that's been disliked by opposition. But I think Lerma, I mean, he's let everybody down quite badly on the first goal yesterday, where received the ball and returning that. If you're going to play in that position, you've got to be better on the ball. I think he's a decent footballer. Do I think he's made Bournemouth better? Not particularly. I think they're better off with they're having sort of box energy of people like Dan Gosling, for example. I'm not saying Gosling's not a better player than Lerma, but in terms of what Bournemouth need at the moment, that might just be better for them. Zane FX says, wonder how many captain questions we will have this week. You had the patience of a saint last week. I'm always patient because I know people are asking questions because they either want my opinion or want some advice, right? So I get frustrated getting the same repetitive questions, which I'm absolutely so. I'm going to stream again 10:30 a.m. on Saturday in the last hour up to the game week 33 deadline on YouTube again. And I know by the time I'm half hour in, I'm going to get for the 6th time who to captain. And it's a little bit frustrating. And this week's quite open again, depending on what happens tonight, the City-Liverpool game. We've got Salah, Mane, De Bruyne, Mahrez, Jesus, Trent defensively, Jimenez, you can argue Doherty, Kane's son. Many options. You can even know Vardy one last push against Palace, for example. Someone will captain Pulisic against Watford, I'm certain. So it's good options. Someone will captain Nick Pope against Sheffield United. There's good options. I'm not suggesting you captain Nick Pope, by the way. So right now, my opinion is I'm probably going to go Trent. I might change my mind between now and Saturday morning, particularly if Trent has a particular tough evening tonight, although I think it would be tougher for him if he was playing against Leroy Sané, by the way. That's my plan at the moment. That if people come into streams late, they want their question answered. So I'll answer them as best I can. But yeah, the advice is, guys, try and start at 10:30 a.m. on Saturday. And we'll do it all together so there's less repetition. Okay, who's next? We've got Sam Cole. Hi, James. In my mini league, the person in second has Harry Kane. I'm 100 points ahead. Should I match him or stick with Salah? 2 transfers left. If all that matters to you, Sam, is the mini league, then you might want to cover it. But are you sure that your rival's not going to move to Salah as well this week, considering that fixture? Might be on a double bluff to you, Sam. So do you think, let's start in the short term, do you think Harry Kane will outscore Mohamed Salah over the next 3 game weeks? No, I don't think so. We're excluding the Manchester City game tonight in terms of your preparation. So Liverpool with Villa, Brighton and Burnley, Tottenham against Everton, Bournemouth and Arsenal. Do you think Harry Kane will outscore Salah? I don't. Do you? Can't see it. Look, Zane FX, who should I captain? Straight after just giving me a compliment. Cheers, pal. Appreciate that. That's up to you. Notorious Nerd. I have Dominic Calvert-Lewin versus Tottenham, Serge Aurier versus Everton, and Connolly versus Norwich. Who should I start? It's probably Aurier, you know. I know, yeah. Yeah, just under the circumstances. See what you see from Tottenham again tonight. Richarlison, I believe, obviously limped off yesterday. It seems to be that he's okay and probably good to go for Monday, which is great for Calvert-Lewin having his mate with him. I'm thinking about potential weaknesses defensively of Luca Dean with Aurier wanting to get in behind. Could be a good game for Serge Aurier, actually. So, fuck it. Please go Calvert-Lewin. I can't bear to advise anyone to say Serge Aurier. Andy Cairns, a lot of chat about good players being picked off on the relegated teams, but I just can't see any of them even getting into top 6, 8, 10 teams. Even Grealish is flattered to the sea. Fraser, we know, is leaving Bournemouth. I think if we assume the bottom 3 will go, I think Todd Campbell will be great with respect for a mid-table side at the moment. He would not get, in my opinion, at the moment in a Tottenham, Arsenal or a Wolves team, in my opinion. If we group them together at the moment, because I think we need to start thinking Wolves as part of that group at the moment, perhaps even more so than Leicester currently. Cantwell wouldn't get in the Leicester team either, in my opinion. Bournemouth, Ake, the benefit of Ake is, and I personally, I think he's a bit overhyped, Nathan Ake. But he's comfortable on the ball and he's left-footed. And for balance, he's such a benefit if you could get him with a really good right-sided partner in a back four, or even as left-sided of a back three. So I think Nathan Ake will get picked up. Villa, there's nothing there would be of any interest other than Jack Grealish. The latest appears to be that City want Grealish, actually. And if you think about what United have said about financially for Sancho, I don't think they're going to buy Sancho and Grealish. So I won't be surprised if Jack Grealish ends up at Manchester City next season. And I'm not sure that's the best career move, I have to say. Because I don't think he's an automatic for them. I really don't, actually. I think good move for Grealish at the moment, genuinely, should Villa go down, would probably be like Tottenham or Arsenal, actually, where he'd probably still become the hub of the team at the moment. But yeah, it looks like it could well be Man City for Jack Grealish. I know Villa correspondent Adam Hopcroft tweeted that he'd heard that as well, that Grealish were coming in for him. Ricky Saunders, my Spurs correspondent, says, all right, pal, hope you and the family are well. Very good, thank you, Ricky. Hope you're well as well, and I hope yours are good. Subert's blog, if the Newcastle takeover doesn't go through, how much will Ashley inevitably take for St. Maximin in January, do you reckon? They paid quite a lot for him, didn't they? I think they paid a fair whack of money for him. I mean, in fairness, it looks like a bargain now. Few clubs will look. Thing is, players like him and Traore with that excessive pace to burst past people are a very rare commodity at the moment in football. So particularly with most sides looking to play, let's say, exploit counter-attacking situations, even the better sides than Newcastle, for example, he would become a great asset. I mean, if you're asking me right now, if he has the potential to be better than Lucas Moura and Bergwijn, for example, at Spurs, there's plenty of people probably look at it now and think, yes, I think he would need to add goals to his game. That's the next big thing for St. Maximin. But let's not forget as well, this is his first season in the Premier League. Be very interested if he stays there to see what his FPL price is at the start of next season. It'd be an interesting one. As a Newcastle midfielder, there's every chance he'll be underpriced again. He's going to be more than what he is now. But even if he's sort of around the 6 million, 6.5, he could be very interesting next season. Don't think it'd be more than 6.5 at the most. Notorious Nerd, Andy Kearns, Grealish to United, maybe the big move from relegated team. Yeah, I'll probably just put a spanner in the works with what I've heard. Liam Stevens, will KDB start tonight, Sunday, next week? Probably. You guessing Pep is as good a chance as me guessing Pep, Liam. My instinct would be yes. But I don't know. City have tonight, Sunday, then Wednesday. It's tight turnarounds. He's probably not going to play all three. But then who thought that Riyad Mahrez would have started all four of Manchester City's games so far? None of us. Clayton Fernandez, hey mate, hope you're well. I know a lot of it is dependent on tonight, but do you think Son is worth holding for Everton and Bournemouth? Got KDB, Fernandez, Salah and Foden too. Yeah, I think it's worth holding. I mean, the Bournemouth fixture massively appeals. So, yeah, hold. I wouldn't particularly advise going to buy Sonny at the moment. I think after the Everton fixture, I might feel different about that. And you're not going to have much time between Spurs. Obviously, play last in game week 33 to then 5 o'clock deadline, game week 34. But yeah, that at the moment, that would probably feel wrong to sell before two teams that he's very capable of doing well against. So I'd hold Heung-min Son. Average Ravo, hi James. Bottom 5-6 teams fighting for survival. Antonio, Bowen, Grealish, Pukki, Sarr, King. Eyes on, could turn up anytime. Which one are you looking at the most? Bowen, I think, over Antonio. And then Ismaila Sarr would be the third for me. No interest in Norwich. No interest in Bournemouth. no interest in going back to Grealish either. We know that if Villa have a good game, he's the most capable and most likely. By the way, Liverpool, Manchester United, or Aston Villa's next two. I think Bowen, I like him. And Antonio has the benefit of an OOP, right? Yeah, Antonio and Martial in your team. Suddenly you're playing with 5 forwards, potentially. I just think with Antonio, he's sometimes better suited to some of them bigger games, like last night, where he's used occasions, just like the winning goal, where he can pin himself one-on-one and exploit the weakness of someone like Christensen, who doesn't have the protection in that case because Chelsea are attacking for a winner. Some of the teams coming up, he's not going to have it as easy to get in behind and stuff like that. Bowen makes great outside to inside runs. He's also very capable coming in from the right-hand side and shooting as well. Better movement. And I like having players at the moment who've got strong movement. I mentioned that after game week 30 when I talked about Calvert-Lewin, Ings and Jimenez. So Bowen, for me, would be my choice out of them. Notorious Nerd, do you see Aurier rotation risk after Mourinho's comments? What's his latest comments? I mean, I've got to be honest with you, Notorious, don't really listen to much that comes out of that fucking geezer's mouth, so I wouldn't worry about it. He's probably said something to make people think that it's not guaranteed that he'd play. Basically, the only cover for Aurier at the moment is the hidden cover of Moussa Sissoko playing at right back. And I wouldn't rule that out as a possibility. Is he a rotation risk? Notorious, every single person is a rotation risk, mate. Every single player is a rotation risk at this period, probably bar goalkeepers and a number of centre halves. Every single other player is a rotation risk. So, this weekend, if you're asking me, Fernandes, Martial, Rashford, do they start? I say to you now, 98%. 100%. Nope. Trent. I'm probably going to captain Trent. Right now, likelihood of Trent starting on Sunday, about 85%, I'd say. Everybody is a risk. Cole JB saying afternoon. Ryan, do you think it's worth changing the attacking triple up of Bruno, Rashford, Martial for one of the defenders and perhaps Greenwood? Feels pointless to me. Ryan, if that's the 3 you've got, stay with it, mate. Genuinely, stay with it. It's not worth the changing, I don't think. Those 3 capable going mental. And all this, we jump from player to player. This time last week. Must get Martial this week. Must get Fernandes. They've had 2 clean sheets. And I've got Bournemouth next. I must get a defensive one. And look at Greenwood now. This is the main reason I spoke about this on my deadline stream on Saturday. About not going to Martial because it would block me off Greenwood. And I think people thought, what are you talking about at the time? It's Greenwood for me. Really, really is. Yeah, because then I can make a week-to-week decision whether I want to play him or not. And let's remember that Manchester United have been very good since the restart. They very nearly lost to Tottenham. It's reality. Although they absolutely deserve something out of the game, unquestionably. They beat a very understrength Sheffield United very comfortably and played well. And they were very, very good at Brighton on Tuesday. Those who might have heard other streams and pods have done over the last week or so, I said that I really thought Brighton would give Manchester United problems. And again, I was second-guessing Potter a little bit on playing 4-2-2-2. And in the first 5 minutes of the second half, that's what Brighton reverted to. And they were instantly better. The problem was United had a breakaway and scored straight away, and it just killed any momentum they had to try and get back in the game. But Brighton were better in that second half. Admittedly, United stepped off a little bit. So should we over-evaluate United and what we've seen so far? There's no reason to obviously fear it. Bournemouth, Villa, Southampton, Palace, and them fixtures they've got. West Ham's after that. Absolutely sensational run of fixtures that United have got. And that's why you want to go into it. But I'll bet you that in one of the games coming up there will massively let you down. I'll bet you. If you're asking me to pick one, I think the Southampton game could be dodgy for them, actually, ironically enough. But then Southampton are as bad as anyone defensively. So bad defensively, Saints. But they're a good team. I enjoy watching them, actually, most of the time. Who we got next? Rob Pick, my man. Notorious Nerd. I feel like I did that earlier on DCL. I'll cover it again. Should I sell DCL or hold on with Everton's turn of fixtures later on? I'm selling. personally. But it's for, I mean, if you look at mine, it's almost a no-brainer. DCL for Greenwood with what's happening this weekend, and allows me Alonso to Robertson, although I've got the money to do that anyway, actually, in one move. But it almost seems like a no-brainer. And that leaves me 2.8 million in the bank. And I can thump in Salah or Mane, for example, if I want to, if I get particularly unhappy with Son. Or I can move Adama Traore up to Mahrez if the timing's right. From that perspective, yeah, I think move on. But it really depends on squad structure. Rob Pick, hi James, bringing Greenwood in for Nketiah this week, but have 2.9 million burning a hole in my pocket and want to take a -4. Would your preference be Saka to Pulisic/Bowen, or 3.9 million defender to a Gomez VVD? Backwards, mate. Backwards. But depending on the rest of your squad, Rob, and you can obviously hit me up on the Patreon Slack channel and send me your full team. I'm not sure I would take a -4 for any of that, actually. Who are you leaving? The important one there is if you go 3.9 million defender to Van Dijk or Gomez, who are you leaving out instead? That's the question, isn't it? Because if you just say, oh, yeah, Van Dijk for 3.9 million, of course, no brainer. But which player are you leaving out instead? That's the important one. Avitravo, Maddison playing a little deep doesn't help Vardy. Tielemans matters, needs to give 3 balls to Vardy to do his job. Great. Tielemans had a bad 2020. Really difficult to judge people since the lockdown, who it might feel like they're underwhelming. But I think Tielemans had a real drop-off from probably winter period on. Could well be that he came in, he had a flourish, and after, some people generally take that second year to acclimatise. It really felt like he hit the ground running. And I just think Leicester will be so much better off getting, he sounds simplistic, but you're right, getting Tielemans and Maddison back closer to Vardy can make a huge difference. Angus McFell, better move as part of a -4. Somehow I still have 2 Villa on my bench. Target to Robertson on McGinn and Mahrez. Oh, I hate not owning Robertson. I fucking hate it. Really, really hate not owning him. So I'm always liable to say that one, Angus. Perlo's Pen, hello, mate. Do you ask your wife for fancy advice just seeing that she's beaten you? Yeah, she's beating me because she had triple captain Salah and I had triple captain Mane. She's doing all right, actually. The thing is, I will still help her, though. So, like, before game week 30, I said, look, we're going to do unlimited. I'll help you with it. And she was like, I can't bother. I was like, look, let me help you with it. So she asked me something like, yeah, no. Even then, 5 minutes before the deadline, she's got Samatta in as part of hers. Have you got Samatta, love? Yeah. Right, you ain't playing. Get him out. And I helped her with it. And I got fucked over. I think she went Danny Ings instead. I mean, I had Danny Ings as well. But, I mean, yeah, what a sucker. She's got a very similar team to me. What happens with my missus is I remind her of the deadline, and she basically, she's like, I want to get rid of him. And she generally just tends to go for the player who's got the most points that's available and has a decent fixture. And do you know what? It works for her. I think she's about 150k or something at the moment. I need to check, but I'm hopeful of cashing her. She had a bad week a couple of weeks ago where I think she might have left the captaincy on Ings against Arsenal, I think, maybe. I can't remember. But yeah, she's doing all right, and I generally just give her the instinct answer, and she goes for it, and yeah, it mugs me off. She spends 5 minutes thinking about it, and she's about 150k. There you go, shit. John MacArthur, hey James, I need help. Need a Spursy pick for Sky for tonight and next week. I must win my league. If it's just the 2 games and you want to sell immediately afterwards, the best shout might be Aurier. If it's for longer, go bigger, go Kane or Son. I'm going for Kane. And to clarify for the listeners and the viewers, that's for Sky. It's a different game to FPL, works very differently. I would not advise Harry Kane as an FPL choice. I would for Sky. Notorious Nerd, who is the best City asset after KDB? It's Mahrez for me. Looks like he's going to play the majority of the games, isn't he? That's how it looks. I'm not sure on Jesus. I'm not sure, you know. I'm not sure. Really not sure. As I've got Laporte as well, I want that decision to be correct. and I'm not sure. So I think I'm going to take in the Liverpool game, take in the Southampton game, see where I sit before they play Newcastle. I'd probably make a decision from there. I don't know, but I'd lean towards Mahrez at the moment. I think very difficult to say before the game this evening as well, right? I mean, if Jesus doesn't play, then there'd be a temptation to look at him immediately for Southampton, I think. Avitrava says the issue is if Trent plays the full game tonight, Neco Williams could start against Villa. Klopp will rotate against Villa, I guess. Why? First game at Anfield after they've won the league. They think they want to play. Yeah, at some point, they're all a rotation risk. I don't see it. Rotate for what? Isn't it go and win the game and take these guys off early? Surely that's the philosophy here. If they're fit, play them. Win the game, take them off after 70 minutes. Go again 3 days later. Why would that not be the case? Why is it more likely because Villa are weaker than Brighton or Burnt? Just consider that. First game at Anfield after they've won the title. Does he want to leave his best players out? I realise no one's going to fucking be there. I obviously get that. Don't you think those players will want to play and experience that and play on their own pitch as champions? I don't think the Villa game's the one to worry about, personally. Zane FX, I'm happy with my team. To add to that, though, yes, they're all still rotation risks. Every bloody player, other than goalkeepers and a few centre-halves, is a rotation risk. Zane FX, I'm happy with my team now for the rest of the season. What do you think about you using a rolling transfer every week to bring in a big differential just for one game week, i.e. Deeney versus Norwich? Yeah, I don't mind it. What's the seeding of Deeney against Norwich? What are you hoping for? Do you ever feel like Troy Deeney's going to score more than once in a game? I can tell you I captained him once. He scored twice in injury time against Aston Villa a few years ago. That would have been in 15-16. But how many other times can you name where Troy Deeney's returned twice in a game? There ain't many. Is that the punt that's worth it? Just because it's Norwich? By all means, go and target Norwich. I have no issue with that at all. The problem you're going to have with that system is something's going to get in the way, where your opinion of something is going to change or an injury is going to change your opinion. So if you're rolling, though, yeah, don't hate it. Don't mind it. I mean, if you're asking me for this week, it's not a good example, but would, I don't know, Dwight Gale against West Ham potentially be a better option than Danny Ings against Man City? Do you know what? Yeah, he might be. But I would never consider making that transfer, right? Would rather just leave Danny Ings on the bench and come back to him personally. James Drury is in. Hello. The other king called James in this FPL community. There's another one as well. I can't remember his name. Sing Kane to me, he says, the Iceman. I'm on wildcard and he was in my first draft. Then I took him out, then back in again. Then I added Ori. I got scared of seeing too many Spurs and removed them both. That's the best thing for you to do, James. Remove them both. Genuinely, that's my opinion. Remove them both. Colin Con. Who? Wolves v Arsenal. Predict the score. 1-1. Nigel Walters. Cheers, James. No problem, Nigel. Colin Con. Would you pick to end of season Mahrez, Martial, Pulisic, Son, Richarlison? I've got Son at the moment. If I had to buy one of them today for the rest of the season, I think it would be Mahrez. You're welcome, Dominic Jervis. No problem. Joe Finley Batter. Not sure what to do with Aubameyang in Sky. Already have Son. Thinking United defense, attack, or hold for Wolves and go to Salah, Mane, Jesus on the Sunday. What you might find, Joe, is you need to look a little bit further. Now, my intention is to sell Aubameyang today for Kane in Sky. Like I said, because of the captain runs. The only downside I see of selling Aubameyang from the Sky captaincy perspective is next Tuesday. Could be a shitter for captaincy. Arsenal play Leicester, Crystal Palace play Chelsea, and Watford play Norwich. Now, my intention at the moment is to captain Ismaila Sarr against Norwich. That's the strategy I'm on. If you don't have the coverage there, do you have enough faith in a Chelsea asset you've got? Are you relying on Söyüncü against Arsenal, hoping there's passing tiers, which it probably won't be? And therefore, Aubameyang next Tuesday, I think, still appeals as the best choice. That's the only thing to second guess on that. My intention is to get rid. If you already got Son, I wouldn't add Kane to that. So I would, think of making the move Sunday from Aubameyang to, I would probably go one of the Liverpool boys. Must be said, Joe, you've got an amazing ranking, Sky, at the moment. I don't think you particularly need my advice. Go with what's worked with you so far would be the best advice I could give you. Jijin John, hi James, I have goalkeeper issue to sort out. Currently have Nyland and Leno. That is a fucking issue. So looking to replace Leno for a hit. Is it worth it at this stage or roll with Nyland for the remaining matches? Oh, Jesus. Fuck me, Villa got Liverpool. Oh, dear. Oh, that's bad. It's not good. Hit for a goalkeeper, though. No. And what you're thinking hit-wise, you probably can't afford to get up to something that would be more trustworthy. Be like a Patricio, for example. Can you get to Pope or Henderson? Don't like Sheffield United's fixtures left. Burnley Sheffield United, 12 o'clock Sunday, just smacks of 0-0 completely, doesn't it? It probably won't be, but that's what it smacks of. And that's the immediate one, is to target one of them two, I think. My preference would be with Pope, but then you're going to feel like you've already missed 2 weeks of returns there. I don't think I'd take a hit, mate. Although I'd probably, depending on what you got in the rest of your team, I'd probably be prioritising that as my transfer, actually. Callum Stokes, toughest decision yet of the season for me. 2 free transfers sitting around 11k overall. Nice, Callum. Moving out, Aubameyang and Sarr, 100%. Can't decide whether to bring in Greenwood and Salah or Jesus and Martial Pulisic. If you go Salah, does that give you the captaincy as well? Is that the end of the decision? I really like Mason Greenwood as a pick. And if it's wrong, just leave him out. I really like him as a pick. I think he's established now that he's going to oust Daniel James in that team. I think he already has. Doesn't mean Daniel James will start. There's a lot of pressure on Greenwood to potentially play a lot of these games. It's worth saying United have good spacing in the next 3 games, right? So from the Brighton game to Bournemouth Saturday's 4-day break. Then they don't play Villa till Thursday's 5-day break. Then they've got another 4-day break till Southampton on the Monday. So United in the short term look more unlikely than others to be rotating. I'd see no reason with them, obviously. They have to be winning Premier League games to push in for top 4 as well. Why Greenwood doesn't get the nod at the moment for me. I prefer that Greenwood and Salah, yeah. There is an alternative there, and that's to go with Greenwood and Martial or Pulisic and hold that money till you've got better information, perhaps. Is an alternative idea. I'm likely to leave about 2.8 million in the bank this week, and I could -4 comfortably to a Salah Mane. I don't think I'm going to do it. Callum Stokes, no Liverpool coverage and feel that could massively hurt. Get something defensive to add to that. He's also saying could go Rashford and Mahrez as well. Decisions. Yeah, lots of decisions, Callum. Nosbit, Aubameyang has killed my games. 46k to 64k. We knew the risk. I think those who captained Aubameyang, very well done, particularly those who owned and held through. It was a brave thing to do. You also think it was the right thing to do. It was a massive difference between me saying, don't buy. I was also saying, don't sell. And I was also saying to owners, I think you should captain him. Go for it. It wasn't for me. I haven't massively lost out on it, to be honest. But for those who captained, well done. Joe Finney-Bella says, think Watford will go down. We lack any sort of creativity without Delafeu. If we don't beat Norwich next week, we're down. Joe, you fucking watched Bournemouth and Villa lately, mate. I think you might get something at Chelsea at the weekend. Moulay Mohamed Kachafi. Sorry if I butchered that, pal. Should I wait for Foster lock in the fixture after Chelsea game, or should I go for goalkeeper from Man United or double up with Patricio from Wolves? Context. Goalkeeper, not a priority. Don't chop and change. Keep Foster. Good fixtures after Chelsea, in my opinion. I disagree with Joe. I do think Watford will still stay up. Akil Sakaria, how do you think Spurs will get on away to Sheffield United tonight? I've said this on a few pods over the last week or so. I think O'Connell is pivotal to how Sheffield United play. If he doesn't play, I think Spurs will win. If he does play, I think Sheffield United will win. I think it's that important. So ask me when the teams come out. You don't need to. You already know the answer. I think it'll be 1-0 either way, depending on that result. That's my expectation. Ricky Saunders, looking for a different perspective, mate. I'm on my wild card. Would you go for Ings/Calvert-Lewin and Martial, or Greenwood and Richarlison? Getting Richarlison is about to play our team, Ricky. Or would you sacrifice Aaron Wan-Bissaka to have both Martial and Greenwood? I like the keeping the United defensive one at the moment. I mean, I wish I'd gone Wan-Bissaka over Maguire. I've gotten the wrong way round. I should have had Maguire in Sky and Wan-Bissaka in FPL, and I've got it the other fucking way round. And I had time to think about them decisions as well, by the way. Still got it wrong. But they're both good picks. I'd like having something United defensively. I just look at them games coming up and I just see clean sheet after clean sheet at the moment. And you know what? Maguire, Wan-Bissaka, most cases probably just going to be a 6-pointer. It will do. Every little helps and counts. They're at good value. I'd keep mine the defensive guys, Ricky, personally. Martial, I was tempted after the Sheffield United game because I spoke about the influence of Fernandes and how he looked so much happier. He looked like a miserable prick again Tuesday night against Brighton. And he's so frustrating. He's got so much ability. It's going to frustrate you. I'm not sure I want that sort of player in my FPL team. It's like Wilfried Zaha. It's a bad comparison. But I had a bad experience where I kept holding Zaha through December. And every week looking at it going, another good fixture, another good fixture. I got him in for a period of 8-9 games, knowing that if I got him in, he was staying in and I was going to stick with it. To the point that I even wildcarded during that period and went, well, I'll hold Zaha for 2-3 more games because they're still good fixtures. And I feel like Martial can get a bit like that. I mean, Martial will get far better returns than Zaha. That's why I say it's a very bad comparison. But Zaha's another, it's just going to frustrate. And I feel that with Martial. I knew the second I got him, he would frustrate me because I've had it so many times with him. I've screamed it so many times on the pods before. He's a really, really frustrating player to own. There's great value in him. He's OOP. He's going to be as a forward next year. He probably won't be on anyone's radar as a forward next year unless he comes in at a cheaper price, which, if they shift him about, could actually happen. I find that very unlikely, though. And I don't think it'll be many teams next year, and therefore you can take advantage of the value now. It's going to frustrate Ricky. He really, really is. I'd have one United defensive. I'm not keen on the Richarlison shout. I've seen a few people saying like Everton's fixtures. I'm not sure what's so great about them. I mean, next three is Tottenham, Southampton, Wolves. Tottenham and Southampton certainly can be very iffy defensively. We know about Wolves' strengths. Then it's Villa at home. Sheffield United, strong defensively as well. And then Bournemouth at home. I'd prefer, Ricky, to have DCL in my squad over Richarlison over the value. But then I'm about to sell DCL as well. So, fucking hate advising people on their wild cards. I'm not keen on either of them, Ricky. I'm really sorry, mate. Definitely keep Aaron Wan-Bissaka, is my opinion. Definitely keep him. Definitely keep him. I like Greenwood and find another way. Look at Jared Bowen, genuinely. I prefer that. Nicholas Dallamore, Mane, Aston Villa, or Rashford, Bournemouth, captain, in your opinion? Mane. Sujan Shah's in the chat. Wagwan Suj. Oh, bloody hell, I've been going ages. I better get through these. Nicholas Dallamore, Traore, non-debatable. Everybody's got their opinion. Mine is I'm going to leave him out this week, I think. Nosbit, Charlie Taylor in starting 11 for double up with Pope at the expense of Traore, Ings. Oh, you're talking about starting 11 this week. No, I don't think you need double up. It's going to hurt. But yeah, it looks, as I said, Burnley, Sheffield United, everybody looks like, on paper, it looks like a 0-0, doesn't it? Notorious nerd at Sujan Shah, not Doherty, surely can tear apart the Arsenal defence. Suj says, PP, I can see Arsenal scores, which means no clean sheet point for Doherty. He's thinking about leaving out Doherty. I think it'd be 1-1, as I said, and I think Doherty will score. Notorious Nerd, Doherty can do equal damage to Traore with more minutes. Yeah, I'm leaving out Traore before Doherty, personally. Nicholas Dallimore, Doherty just as threatening as Traore, in my opinion. Sergio always in the box looking to grab a goal. FPL dream. William Jones, hi James, how are you, mate? I'm good, thank you. Son disappoints tonight. Would you do Son and Traore out for Mahrez and Pulisic? I'm not expecting Son to return tonight against Sheffield United. I told you I think I'd be chasing Bulldog quite a lot personally. It was more looking at beyond, actually. So if I suddenly get frustrated and sell now, I'm not sure that's right. Even though I can, like I said, make the moves. I would say, though, Mahrez and Pulisic, I quite like that as a combination in place of Son and Traore. I think Pulisic is another one put on that list that it could be great, could also massively, massively disappoint. Remember when everyone went mad for him in about November time and he didn't play for about 3 months? Andrew Baker, Greenwood is clearly much better than James. Is he now the starter? Yes, in my opinion, Andrew. Another Hoops, good afternoon. Uma Firefray 2. Hi, I just saw this in my recommendation. I don't know who you support. You are the only person who's ever watched me who doesn't know who I support. You must do by now. It's Super Spurs, or not so super these days. I'm going to run through these very quick. So I'm going to spend more than 10 seconds or so on these just to get everyone covered quickly. Nathaniel Chapman. You will know me better as FPL Pessimistic Potato. I do, Nathaniel. Willian or Pulisic to end the season. Couldn't watch the game last night, but seen conflicting evidence on Twitter today. Send help. Pulisic. Willian will definitely frustrate the life out of you. Another Hoops. Hi, James, the Spurs fan. Which combo is better going forward? Rashford and Son or Kane and Martial? For FPL, I would say Rashford and Martial. No, I'm kidding. Rashford and Son. Yeah, definitely Rashford and Son, actually. Moulay Mohammed says, keep or sell Watford defence for next upcoming fixture. Answer, please. I don't like the way you asked that question. I'm not sure I want to answer it. Sell. But then you're going to want to back the next week. Richard Roman, all right, James, just come on. Best captain for 33. Here we are. This is the late captain request. Bruno, Martial, Salah or KDB. If you got Salah, go Salah. No pearls, Rob Pick. You slapped me, mate. D. Alex, how you doing, James? Just joined. I assume you're going either Rashford or Bruno for captain. Which one and what swayed to that way? My feeling is that Rashford will take next penalty. Trent. Another Hoops. Would you go Mahrez ahead of KDB then, or are you thinking both? Both. Wouldn't get rid of KDB. Archie, Deeney returned 2 attacking returns against Liverpool. You're quite right, Archie. You absolutely did. Now find me another one. Garang Barot, Son or Pulisic? Pulisic at the value, worth a stab. Will Pierce, hey James, I've Greenwood, Bruno, and Maguire. Worth me moving. No, keep whatever 3 Man United assets you've got, keep them. Stop jumping around. Paul Meehan, welcome to Patreon, mate. I really need to learn to set my alarm. Good morning, James. Good morning, chat. John MacArthur, James, you're a legend. Thanks so much for answering my question. I don't know about that. I did say I'd cover everyone's question. Ben Moxham, afternoon. Best Traore replacement, 5.9 million to play with. Roll the transfer, Ben. Come back to it would be my advice. FPL telling Josh thoughts on my 2 free transfers this week. Ali, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, St. Maximin, Rashford. Yeah, cool. I really dislike people to say, oh, what do you think of my transfers this week? Well, you liked it. Why did you choose it in the first place? I would feel terrible to put you off that unless it was something I genuinely believed. No problem with going for St. Maximin, Rashford. It's absolutely fine. Another Hoop said I had that same bad experience with Zaha. Yeah, we weren't the only ones. Joe Philly Batter. Oh, and somehow my Sky Knockout Cup opponent only has 13 points this game week. Don't know how he's made it this far, but I take it. I told you, Joe, you could end up against some dead teams there. So hold back. You've got a good chance of winning that, mate. William Jones. Also, just one more quick one, James. Which striker under 4.6 would you go for? I can't go for Greenwood, as already have 3 United players. In which case, then, possibly Connolly over Nketiah. It'd be a real risk to start him. But there's also a risk to start Nketiah. I mean, Nketiah probably gets a few more minutes. But I'm thinking of Connolly on that run-in. What a good little differential we could be for 36 to 38 if Brighton still need points. Omar Galad says Jota and Lundstrom out for Doherty and Greenwood. Yeah, that seems like a no-brainer. Should I sell Aubameyang to free up funds? It's absolutely up to you. But my advice would probably be yes. And because he's just banged, watch how so many people get the FOMO and now keep and sit for another week. And they Leicester have been shit. Keep another week. Spurs, they're rubbish defensively. Keep another week. I like the idea of going sub 10 million forwards at the moment. I held a long-held belief for the majority of the season that I always wanted to be at Vardy's value, at least in one of my forwards, so I could get to Aubameyang, Kane, or Aguero if necessary. Aguero, we know, is out. I can't see, at least until 37, where you'd consider captain Aubameyang. And I think the same really applies to Kane. You could say, yeah, great. Game week 30, what we got coming up next? Game week, I fucking hate this time of year. Game week 33, I love it. Game week 34, against Bournemouth. But are you really going to captain over a Liverpool asset against Burnley? Genuinely. Knowing what happened to Burnley at Man City? No, you're not. Final question, William Jones, just to add, this budget option wouldn't start. It would be Rashford and Jimenez up top. Then I'd be probably quite tempted to go to Connolly, actually, William. It'd be easier to leave out. Right, we'll leave it there. Thanks very much for the questions, guys. Much appreciated. We've been going for over an hour, so we'll wrap it up there. Enjoy the games tonight. Best advice I'd give you is don't make no transfers till at least tomorrow. And I probably wouldn't even make until Saturday morning, as long as you remember to set your alarm and get up in the morning. In terms of remaining content this week, tomorrow, Suj and I will do a full podcast reviewing all 10 of the game week 32 fixtures in detail, including those that will happen tonight. Saturday, I will be back here streaming on YouTube at 10:30 for the final hour leading to the FPL deadline. And Rockstar's not going to break any hearts this week because Norwich and Brighton is the only team news you're likely to get pre-deadline. So should be in a position to make early decisions here, really, and not be leaving it last minute. But I'll be here to help. Then I'll take about a 20-minute break, and then I'll do a 2.5-hour stream for Champman FPL as well. Then I'm going to put my feet up and watch all the football in the afternoon. Patrons, your quiz, your fourth podcast of the week has been posted on 2010 in football. Enjoy that. Good luck. We'll also have a podcast for you on Patreon tomorrow, previewing our own moves and our final thoughts ahead of game week 33. We've already done 3 other podcasts for patrons. On Patreon, we have 5 additional podcasts every week. During the course of July, there are 23 additional podcasts, which at the £8 tier, you can access essentially for 35p per podcast. Plus, you get great access to the Slack channel, which has got about 150 great members of the community in it. Also, come and join the Planet FPL community. If you're thinking of joining Patreon, now is absolutely the right time to get it done. You will get the most for your buck. Other than that, for the benefit of the audio, ciao for now. Cue Music Man Child. Thank you very much, everyone.